So I'm just going to take just a few minutes to describe some efforts that are happening here in British Columbia that's focused on trying to find a way to assess social and emotional learning. Because some of you might be saying, well, yeah, but how do you assess these things? And what we know is what isn't assessed isn't addressed. And it's so important and especially these kinds of skills like empathy and optimism and pro-social behavior and school connectedness, they're not easily, people don't know as easy. And I have to say, it is important to know where you are, to know where to go. So right now I've been working with colleagues at UBC as well as the United Way of the Lower Mainland to develop a measure called the Middle Years Development Instrument, the MDI. How many of you have heard of the EDI? Great. So the Early Development Instrument is a measure of children's social and emotional and well-being, communication, language, physical health in kindergarten and reported by teachers. The MDI, which was developed for grade 4 students, is another way to obtain information about their strengths and assets. It takes instead of like the EDI, which is a vulnerability index, the MDI really focuses on strengths-based positive approach and really takes the voices of children, the 4th grade children. So to date, I'm giving you like the very, very slim version of the MDI. If people want more information, I can certainly send it along or give you the stuff on the website. So the aspects of the MDI is for grade 4 children, and it looks at their lives inside and outside of school. And it really takes this idea from resiliency, of ecological assets. What are the factors that we can put in a child's environment to help them thrive and be the best they can be? And so we talk about, so keep this metaphor in mind. Oh, who is the garden group? Who is the school garden group? There was someone who was talking over here. I heard composting talk. Oh. Anyway, so think of the richness of the soil. Actually, it's a great connection to the idea of school gardens, because we could think about that as a metaphor. And so think about this idea of trying to find out what are the assets in children's lives that can help them thrive. And I will tell you that, 5 decades of research say, the number one most important factor to help children be resilient, all of us actually, and to sort of weather adversity are relationships. And we look at children's relationships at school, important adults. We look at relationships at home, supportive adults. Children answer questions like, at home there is an adult or parent who listens to me when I have something to say, who believes I will be a success. And then we look at support in the neighborhood as well as in the peer group. So it takes a whole child approach with the perspectives of children, which aligns with the UN rights of the child, which says that Article 12, that children have the right to be listened to and to give their advice on matters that include them. And we also look at relationships, as I mentioned. And I just have to use this quote by Yuri, my friend Yuri Bronfenbrenner, who said that every child really needs someone in his or her life who's absolutely crazy about them. So the MDI includes 5 dimensions: social and emotional development, which includes all those things I was talking about with the SEL, the social awareness, empathy, self-esteem, connectedness to families, schools, neighborhoods, and families. School experiences, including their connectedness to school, as well as bullying or victimization. Physical health and well-being: what time do they eat breakfast? Do they have a family meal a couple times a week? And constructive use of time after school. To date, these are the districts that have participated in the MDI. Just so some of you, I wanted to put this up here because some of you might be in those districts and not even realize that your district did the MDI this year. But you'll see that it's started in Vancouver and then went to Revelstoke and Coquitlam. And next year it's going to be in Burnaby and Richmond and several other places as well. And just so you know, just sort of a preview, we are piloting the MDI 7 in Vancouver. So it's going to be the same measure again with grade 7s and with additional items that look at that transition, and we'll be able to link the grade 4 data to the grade 7 data to see if we can identify factors that predict success. So we have key assets for thriving. We have 5, and these are based on theory and research that look at supportive adult relationships, positive peer relationships, proper nutrition and sleep, positive school experiences, and participation in after-school activities. And then our index of well-being is a composite that includes optimism, self-esteem, happiness, overall health, and absence of sadness. And I just want to sort of double-click on the idea of optimism and happiness, which we know these are indicators of positive mental health and are, again, protective factors for problems that arise. And so what we have here for each district that does it, and actually each school, you get a composite index that tells you how many children are thriving, how many children are doing well, and how many are more low health and well-being. And this just compares the Vancouver, Revelstoke, and Coquitlam. And so you could see that both Coquitlam and Vancouver are very similar in some ways, and Revelstoke is not so similar. Anyone from Revelstoke? No. Tell us what the ingredients are. If people have seen the EDI results, it's the same kind of thing. Then what we've done is we have the types of assets. So every community and every school gets a puzzle piece. Now, do you remember my metaphor of the gardens and the soil? So if that asset is high in your community, it's the dark, rich soil that has that rich nutrient. If it's average, it's sort of a brown, light brown, and then if it's like not existent, it's the desert. So I'm just going to show you quickly a couple of, this is just an aside. Every school that participates gets a school report. Every community gets their community mapping report. What is essential to me, and I'm bringing it up here just so you know, BC is very unique, that every school gets their report, because if we don't use this to move to action, and there's a toolkit being developed as well. And this just gives an illustration of that. And so this is Vancouver. That just shows how many, the size of the circle is how many children are living there, and then the socioeconomic status is in the background. And you see there's quite a lot of variability across the communities. And then this just gives you the puzzle pieces for each of the 23 neighborhoods in Vancouver, so you right away could see how each community is doing.